Good evening, I'm Phil Rainier, Newsbreak 9. Authorities are looking for a Baton Rouge teenager tonight, missing after a boating accident near New Orleans. We'll have the latest information tonight on Newsline at 10. A spectacular truck accident on I-10 over local park has stirred up old fears, and chocolate bunny rabbits are hopping it up at the thought of Easter. Those stories and more at 10. Now this. A boating accident has authorities searching for a Baton Rouge teenager. That story and more coming up on Newsline.
Happy Easter from WAFB TV, Baton Rouge.
This is Newsline 9, the 10 o'clock report.
Good evening, I'm Phil Rainier. A Baton Rouge teenager is missing and feared dead tonight after a boating accident near New Orleans. 18-year-old Chris Cahill was on Lake Catherine along with two other boys when their boat overturned. Cahill hasn't been seen since, but his friends made it to a nearby bayou where they were rescued in stable condition. The rubble has been cleared away from the latest interstate accident over a park in Baton Rouge, but the accident has stirred up old fears about the safety of that park. Newsline's Marcy Goldsby reports.
Night after an 18-wheeler flipped over the rail on the westbound ramp to the I-10 bridge. The driver and her passenger were hospitalized with moderate injuries. Police say it's a wonder they weren't killed. The truck was on Interstate 10 westbound, about to go over the bridge, when it plunged over the railing and the cab landed on 110 southbound. But the trailer with the melons in it plunged over the rail and landed in this park. It took a bulldozer to get control of the mess this morning, but work crews had a little help from neighborhood residents who came to load up on free fruit. One family hauled off 3 carloads. But with the festive atmosphere of the cleanup was another feeling. Fear that if it happens again, some of the children who play in this park might be hurt. Lois Johnson lives just a block away with her nieces and nephews.
We don't let them go out there and play, you know, go back and forth over there because it's too dangerous where all them trucks that fell off and stuff.
You're worried that they might get hurt?
Yeah, worried.
Some people who live in this neighborhood have taken their worries to public officials.
I have very deep concerns about the whole design of that stretch of the interstate system as it relates to traffic going through Baton Rouge. It seems as if most of the most serious damage we've had are hazardous conditions that come about because of the accidents. Is heavy-duty 18-wheel trucks that come through there, and the loads shift or they're speeding or whatever happens, and they always end up over in an area where kids usually are playing.
Officially, this park is closed, but you can't tell by looking. It's wide open, and there are no signs warning children of the danger. On this Saturday before Easter, city parish officials were not available to talk with us about the park. Marcy Goldsby, Newsline 9.
Thousands of worshipers filled St. Peter's Basilica in Rome today as Pope John Paul welcomed Easter in Mass. The celebration marks the holiest day on the Christian calendar. People in Poland are using Easter to remember those good things in life, what many of us forget. Bert Quint reports.
Eggs of plaster instead of chocolate. Plaster, too, in the bunnies and chickens and lambs that used to be made of sugar. In Warsaw, people go through the motions, despairing of obtaining the ham and other cold meats that once adorned Easter brunch tables. They line up for what they can get, thankful to find at least the traditional Easter pastries. In the churches, there's a new bitterness along with the old observances. On Good Fridays, for centuries, Poles have put up scenes of the resurrection with present-day touches. In many Polish churches this Easter, those touches reflect political reality. At St. Bridget's in Gdansk, near the figure of Jesus, there are pictures recalling acts of repression of the past and dirt said to be from the graves of victims, including some of those killed in the early days of martial law. Some Warsaw churches have chains and tear gas canisters, barbed wire, and in one, a long road full of obstacles leading to the resurrection. A small exclamation of hope at a time of little joy. Solidarity, apparently trying to show that it is still alive, has sent out Easter cards from the underground. There have been leaflets, too, and a clandestine radio broadcast. Underground leaders, accusing the regime of leading the country toward catastrophe, are calling on Poles to prepare for demonstrations on May 1st, International Labor Day. Bert Quint, CBS News, Warsaw.
Still ahead on Newsline, bunny rabbits, lots of them.
Watch celebrity guests tell all about their spouses on Tattletales here on Channel 9. Tune in at 4 p.m. weekdays to see the private lives of some of your favorite show business personalities become public record on this happy gossip game show, Tattletales. Host Bert Convy uses charm and wit to get 3 celebrity couples to reveal some unusual truths about themselves. When it comes to fun, almost anything goes, from the outlandish questions to the celebrities' replies and the audience response. Yes, everyone's a winner on Tattletales, weekdays at 4 here on Channel 9.
Demonstrations against nuclear weapons continued in Europe today. West German protesters turned out by the thousands to demonstrate at American military bases, while others in Scotland staged a so-called die-in to symbolize a mass nuclear death. Paper bags were worn over their heads as the suggested dress for a nuclear attack. Despite today's massive nuclear protests, Soviet Prime Minister Gromyko has rejected President Reagan's proposal for arms control. Don McNeil reports.
Minister Andrei Gromyko said President Reagan's new interim proposal on medium-range nuclear missiles in Europe was completely unacceptable. The foreign minister listed 3 major reasons for the Kremlin's official rejection of the president's proposal. First, the American side at the Geneva negotiations refused to take into account the 162 British and French nuclear missiles. Second, the American side also refused to take into account its forward-based systems, such as carrier-launched aircraft and land-based bombers in Western Europe. Third, the American demand that any SS-20s the Soviets removed from Europe should be destroyed and not redeployed in Asia. What's done with the excess SS-20s is Soviet business, Gromyko said. The Soviet foreign minister said if the American position remains the same on these points, there is no chance for an agreement at Geneva. Mr. Gromyko concluded that the United States knew the Soviets could only react in this manner. They don't want an improvement in relations, he said. They only want us to make drastic concessions, and that will never happen. Don McNeil, CBS News, Moscow.
Gromyko's speech didn't seem to have much impact at the White House. The Reagan administration said today it hasn't given up on its arms proposal yet. Bill McLaughlin has that story.
Senior administration officials reacted to Gromyko's remarks with a strong dose of optimism. The officials said that President Reagan's interim nuclear arms proposal was still very much alive, even though Gromyko seemed to say that it was dead. They admitted that Gromyko's reaction to the president's offer was disappointing, but said it could have been a lot worse. Gromyko's tone, they said, was relatively restrained by Soviet standards. The Soviet-American arms control talks will reconvene in Geneva in mid-May. The officials said they hoped that by that time the Soviets would change their minds and be ready to discuss President Reagan's offer. As one official put it, what the Soviets find to be unacceptable today may not be unacceptable tomorrow. The administration spokesman completely rejected the substance of Gromyko's remarks, especially his claim that a nuclear balance already exists in Europe. The officials said that there is a 2-to-1 Soviet edge in nuclear warheads in Europe, and President Reagan is determined to push for an equal balance. Bill McLaughlin, CBS News, the State Department.
Tornadoes sweep through North Louisiana. The story coming up.